So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're listening and watching. And welcome, Roger, out of Germany, if I'm not mistaken, from Singhammer. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining. This is episode number 8. Today, we're talking with Roger from, as I said before, from Singhammer. And this brings me immediately to the first question, Roger. Can you talk a bit about, well, who are you? What's your role within Singhammer? And what does Singhammer bring to the market?
Yeah, of course. First of all, hi Ingmar, and thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Roger. I'm CEO here at Singhammer IT Consulting. We are based in Munich, Germany, and we are an ISV and a system integrator. So we implement Business Central-based projects in the IT sector. So it's always been our focus to take only one industry and become an expert in that industry, and that is IT companies. Well, Business Central partners, of course, are also IT companies. So some of them are our
Yeah.
customers, and not the easiest ones, but that's what we do. And we, of course, develop apps and solutions and on-prem solutions for that space.
And so, are you an old company, Roger?
Uh, I think so, yes. So I'm with Singhammer now for 11 years. I'm not anymore rookie, but Singhammer is around for more than 25 years. Yeah.
Okay. And have you been always in the dynamic space, or maybe on another platform before, or have you been
No,
starting a vision?
always in the dynamic space. It was
Okay.
always in the dynamic space. Goes back to Navision times when the company was originally founded by my predecessor, and they took Navision for, it was a system integrator, general IT system integrator. They kind of beefed up Navision at that time. Then a couple of other companies came along and said, hey, that's a cool piece of software. Can we have that too? Yeah. So he did a spin-off, actually management buyout, and created Singhammer IT Consulting.
And is that also when the ISV motion started? Because you said like, hey, we start
Yeah,
develop software, and other companies were asking for like, hey, can we have that? That's when the
right,
ISV
right.
motion started.
Yeah, it started right from the beginning, and it was right from the beginning clear focus on IT companies only. We never
Okay.
did anything else.
Okay. And what you haven't mentioned yet, and I'm eager to hear that. What is the focus area of Singhammer? What kind of solution do you develop, or solutions do you develop?
Well, what are the typical things which IT companies, first of all, do? It sounds very easy and straightforward, but in fact, it isn't that easy and straightforward because you have micro verticals. You have software development companies only, for example. Yeah, they do bespoke pieces of software, which means their typical issues are we have to make sure we balance our resources, we can manage our development efforts, and at the end of the day, either invoice fixed price projects or invoice agile projects in sprints and user stories and so on. So you need to look at resource utilization and invoicing of professional services, easy time recording stuff. Yeah, that is one element, which is pretty much common for all professional service companies.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you still have system integrators, which purchase a lot of stuff, be it software or still hardware, and bundle that in projects. Then they add any kind of recurring service on top, typically managed services. And finally, you have all the mixed business models in between, where you have professional service companies which do software development, which implement projects, which do modern Microsoft modern workplace partners. They purchase something from Microsoft, they bundle it with their service and sell it to their customers. So everything around that is what we focus on and is what we develop apps for. So project management, time recording, subscription billing, as some may know by now. Yeah.
Well, indeed, I saw on your website subscription billing, and of course, considering myself kind of a layman, from an industry perspective, what you exactly do. When I saw the wording subscription billing, I was like, hey, this is like telco, media, the Netflixes of this world, but it's rather about what you mentioned, managed services. So IT companies that deliver a service have a kind of maybe monthly payments to their customers happening to deliver certain services, silver, gold,
Right.
diamond. That's in fact when you talk about subscription billing focused on managed services for IT companies.
Yes, exactly. So it's not only software subscriptions. So the app which we have on AppSource for quite some time now is actually called DICE Recurring and Subscription Billing, because it's more than pure play subscriptions. Although of course, you have subscriptions also in other industries outside of the IT industry, be it insurance, be it newspapers, subscriptions. So there are many business models where companies charge their customers on a monthly, on a quarterly, or on an annual basis. Yeah. Now you have the same in the IT space when you sell software, when you sell support, or when you sell software maintenance, and that's where we originally came from. Yeah.
Okay.
So 25 years ago, there were no cloud subscriptions, but of course there was a sale of software attached with the software maintenance.
The maintenance, the BREP.
Right, the BREP. Yeah, and the BREP was a percentage of the license. So that's stuff which we do, but you also have that model in other industries. So I know there's a company which sells railroad trucks, and they have a recurring service sitting on the railroad truck. Yeah.
Super. So you've mentioned already the word AppSource, and I'm gonna hold that thought for a few minutes. But there's another question that I still want to bring into the conversation. You have a very, very specific focus, and well, I'm with Microsoft since 2002, and I remember in the early days, 2001, I should say, Navision. In the early days, we're always like, hey, dear partner, focus, because focus will bring you easier success. Not easy success, but easier success. And it might be independent that Singhammer chose that strategy, Roger. But also what we see in a cloud world, especially in a cloud world, although you mentioned on-prem that you're still developing on-prem, that may be a second thought that I'm going to hold for later conversation. But in a cloud world, it's also about scalability, meaning getting more and more customers using that same solution on a monthly basis, yearly basis. Is Singhammer focused mainly on Germany, or is it rather German-speaking countries, or are you going beyond what we would call the DACH region?
Well, actually, as many ISVs in the Business Central world, a lot of them do implementations themselves historically, and so do we. So we have our direct customers, mainly in the DACH region, so the German-speaking countries, as you said, and that helps us to be at the pulse, to feel the pulse of the industry and to understand the requirements of our customers. So we will continue that, doing own implementations, but we will focus on the German-speaking regions. Historically, we have a few other customers, or we take on customers from other regions in case we don't find a partner. So how do we scale? Now our focus with AppSource is finding other partners in other regions to take up that spot of the IT vertical and create it for themselves within their region. So build a business in the IT sector in whatever, in UK, in the Netherlands, what have you, any region where we are not, and there are many. Yeah, and that has become a lot easier with AppSource, of course. Yeah, as you said, in the on-prem world, like many other partners, we had one solution, which was a big battleship, and it can do everything pretty much. Yeah, it can do everything apart from driving fast. Yeah. So we changed that when we moved to AppSource. We created new apps from scratch. It was not taking the bit battleship and squeezing it into the cloud. So it was not a refactoring. It was a complete redevelopment of new apps in order to be able to sell it a lot easier to other partners.
Clear. And let me go a bit deeper on that one. Today, you have the possibility to sell via AppSource, well, to sell your solution via other partners to the end customer. Is that a functionality that you are using today?
Actually, no. So we don't use the so-called transactability function of AppSource, which is limited. Yeah. So we looked at. We sneaked out of the Dynamics world at some point in time and looked, for example, at the Atlassian marketplace, and we learned they are far more advanced when it comes to transactability compared to Microsoft AppSource, which is very interesting. So there's a lot to learn from Microsoft. And Microsoft transactability is not very helpful, and it does not support the partner model at all. So we are in a kind of a private preview and beta mode with Microsoft to improve that. Progress is very slow. Let's put it that way.
Clear. No, it's very good feedback, Roger. So what you would like in the end is to have like full transactability, being able to create like private offers maybe towards partners that can offer that to customers. Their customers.
Right. Higher flexibility when it comes to pricing models, not only a per user price, other pricing models, tiered pricing models, what have you.
Yeah, clear.
And right now, the transactability doesn't really work in a partner mode where you have CSP tier 1, tier 2 partners, and the market is not prepared for that.
Yeah, clear. Okay, that's a very clear answer on AppSource. I want to go back a bit because you also mentioned on-prem, that you're still developing for on-prem. Is that the case? Are there customer segments or specific customers that are demanding for on-prem? Yeah, open question, Roger.
Well, that's a good question because, had you asked that question 3 months ago, I would have said, yeah, we are still developing on-prem. Now, over the last few months, we announced that we will be sunsetting our on-prem solution. Okay. So we announced an end date for our on-prem solution, and to give our customers enough time to take a fair decision on, do we want to do an update now in the on-prem world, or do we want to move to the cloud now or later? We said our end date for the on-prem development will be 2028. Yeah, as long as Microsoft lets us do this. So if Microsoft pulls the trigger at some point in time earlier, well, we have to go back to our customers then. But there's nothing known to my knowledge.
No, and to be clear, I don't know it either.
Yeah.
I'm not part either of the engineering department's organization. Now, you mentioned the development on-prem, development online. That brings me to development overall. You mentioned that you've really redeveloped your solution from scratch, specifically to optimize it for the online world. I always hear like, hey, this is really a cultural shift. Also, developing on-prem versus online, because it's a different way of not only the way of developing, but thinking like, hey, it's about having less code. It's being to optimize upgrades. Upgrades need to be very fast. Hey, you can't spend too much time in online worlds about upgrades. Everyone on the same version. I think that's also a mind shift, especially with on-premise. You mentioned it before. You can you just up and whatever the customer wants. That you created it. Can you talk a little bit about how that shift happened from on-prem to online, not from a technical perspective, but rather from a cultural perspective?
Well, I think there are some pros and cons of being in that industry in which we're in. Having IT companies only makes a lot of things easier and more difficult at the same time. Because let's start with the difficult things. First of all, everyone thinks they know much better than we do how IT should work and how you develop software and so on. And so we always talk to experts. That's not easy. On the other hand, we get a lot of understanding. We get a lot of understanding because all our customers know what's going on in the market. What's going on in the market? They know exactly all the pros and cons of cloud transitions, all the downsides of having heavily bespoke systems, and so on. So on that front, it's an easy discussion with them. And we explained many years ago when we took the decision that we will do a complete new development, which has some downsides as well, because moving from the on-prem world into an app-based, newly developed cloud world is more difficult, and it comes with at a higher price. Yeah. On the other hand, you have a modern solution. Yes, we don't have any more CRM functionalities in Business Central. We use Dynamic Sales. Now, moving from Business Central CRM into Dynamic Sales is not a cloud migration thing. Yeah. So, but we explained that to our customers, and we said, Business Central is an ERP system. It's an accounting system in a nutshell. Yeah. It has a tabular structure, so it's not communication oriented. So take it for what it is good for, and don't misuse it for other things, which need a very high level of interaction, a very nice user interface, so that for example, for time recording, you may want to talk to the system and tell your time recording application to do something. That's not going to work easily with Business Central. And if you can make it work, it will not necessarily look nice. So I like Business Central for what it was done for. Yeah. So we love it. We do it. And for other stuff, we take other apps, other solutions from Microsoft and do it there. So our customers understand it. It was an easy call with them, because they said, we understand it's going to be more expensive for us, but it's the right decision. Go with it.
You're mentioning so many topics. Well, so many topics, things that I'm like, hey, I need to remember this one. Now you said like, hey, what we can develop in Business Central for what it's suited, we will develop in Business Central. But otherwise, we would use, or we are using, different tools. So that brings me to the question, Roger. Are you using anything from the Power Platform? Is that something that you're investigating or already using?
Well, Power Platform, not really. Yes, we did some Power BI dashboards for our subscription billing, which now ultimately becomes a part of Business Central. So the dashboards will also be part of the Business Central as well. And we use Dynamic Sales for everything around CRM.
Okay.
Other parts of Power Platform, not yet. But for example, in the past, in our on-prem world, we had so-called entities like software changes in Business Central, which software developers can use, or we had Business Central take care of tickets and support tickets. Yeah, so we beefed it up to become a ticketing tool and a help desk tool, which it isn't really. Yeah, so we decided if you're a software development company, take the typical standard tools which are around like Azure DevOps or Jira Software, and we'll integrate with that. If you want, if you need a help desk, take whatever you want. We focus on Jira Service Management for some reasons, not
Okay.
Dynamics
Yeah.
Customer Service, and we integrate with that. So that's those are a couple of decisions which we've taken. Yeah, and Power Apps, for example, is on our horizon as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's clear. Now, you mentioned also Azure DevOps. Is that like a particular knowledge area that your company is focused on or is focusing on today?
I wouldn't say that we're focusing on how do you best set up Azure DevOps. We're focusing on how can you have an integrated process between all the software development which you do in Azure DevOps and making sure you track your times and get it built. Yeah, you get it into your financial backbone. So we want to help our customers to give them a streamlined process right from the beginning, where it starts in sales into finance throughout their systems, be it project management, be it software development, be it also purchasing and logistics, of course. So all the Business Central stuff is there as well, but it's more than that. Yeah. If you are a software developer, you don't want to go into Business Central and track your times there. That's not what you want. You don't want to switch applications. Yeah. And you don't want to take care of moving your times into Business Central, or someone should not do this. So we take care with our apps.
Clear. Now, I've mentioned the Power Platform. I've mentioned Azure DevOps. In fact, and maybe I should take a step back and rather use the words, or take it more holistically and say like, hey, Roger, from an innovation perspective, how do you decide where to innovate and when to innovate, and using which tools? Can you describe how that's done within Singhammer?
Well, first of all, we have a dedicated product development team it was theirs when I started, so 11 years ago, or almost 12 years ago. So product development was always separated from project development, to make sure that whatever we develop for a broader customer range has a product focus, which is a different type of development. Yeah, it's not, it has to match one customer or maybe two or three, and then you do something and then it doesn't work in another scenario. You need to have a much broader view on that. So we have this product development team where we also have consultants, and first of all, they are in charge of looking around. Yeah, they are in charge of looking at other tools. On the other hand, we have a team which comprises of sales guys and also consultants, which are involved with customers and prospects. And we sit down on a regular basis and discuss on where do we want to go to. First of all, in a short period, but also, over the next years. So where do we want to develop? So, and then we do, if necessary, if we say we want to move outside of the Dynamics world, we do market investigation. For example, that's how we came up with Jira Service Management integration.
Okay, interesting.
So it's pretty much to some part opportunistic, but also strategic.
I see that. I hear that. I understand that rather. Now, at the same time, Microsoft is like throwing, between brackets, a lot of innovation to Business Central community, to Singhammer. So Business Central is evolving every 6 months. There's like an upgrade of Business Central with enhanced functionality, new integration. Then there are what I would call not side project, but inroads into Business Central, just to name something that's mentioned every day by Microsoft Copilot, Copilot Studio, and the former Power Virtual Agents. So how do you manage that stream of innovation from Microsoft, pushing Singhammer like, hey, this is interesting, and this is interesting, and this is interesting, and this is interesting. How do you manage it? I see you laughing. So yes, I can see your thoughts. I hear your thoughts. But how do you decide there? Like, what are we going to focus on, and what's relevant that Microsoft is sharing with us, and what's like less relevant, and particularly for our business?
There is no clear answer, and it's not an easy decision. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the Gartner hype cycle model, yeah, where you have new innovations, new technologies, which come up over time, and then they reach the peak of inflated expectations, and then it goes down until there's a slope of I don't remember the word. Yeah, at some point in time, a new technology really shows what can you use in a productive way and whatnot. But in between, there's the peak of inflated expectations. And now, at what point in time of this hype cycle would you want to invest? Now, we at Singhammer tend to focus rather once it has come down. So we are not the ones who say, hey, this is new cool stuff. We need to do something with whatever right now. And because we're a small company, we have 75 people. We do business. We have our product development team. We can only focus on a certain number of new technologies at some point in time. And we only start to do that once we are sure it's good enough to invest in it.
Yeah, that's a very clear answer. And I want to quickly jump on when you said like, hey, we're a small company, 75 people. Yes, I hear you. On the other hand, Roger, I'm always, when people say like 50 people or 70 people, I'm always like, yeah, but 70 people paying every month, that means a huge cash flow that needs to run through the company, the number of invoices that need to be made, the number of customers that need to be served. So yes, it's small, but at the same time, I'm always impressed by companies of a size of 50, 70, 80, 90. It's small, but it's not small at the same time. It's really already a professional organization that needs to deliver every month. This is just a remark independent of this podcast. Coming back to your point around the Gartner cycle, definitely. And I think I hear you say, you didn't say it, but I think I heard you say between the lines, Copilot might be that. It's or Copilot AI, let's call it AI, or the OpenAI technology. Maybe it's today at the top, and now it's maybe going a bit down. And in, I don't know, 12 months, 18 months time, it will be at that point where you say like, now it's time to invest. Can I rephrase it like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And regarding Copilot and the AI hype, first of all, I think I'm really convinced that AI and also Copilot will help us a lot. From my impression, it's not there yet. And Microsoft will probably would argue in a different way. But let me tell you where I think how the world can look like, and where I think it would deliver the most benefit. I remember the times where I started as a consultant at Singhammer a couple of years ago, and I was really frustrated with, at that time, Dynamics nav. I was frustrated. It was so complicated. Click here, click there, error messages, which I didn't understand. So it was not really a good user experience. Now it's a lot better today. In fact, in many areas, it's pretty good. But looking at a system, if you could put in an AI or language layer in between an ERP system, probably any ERP system, and the user, would completely change the whole usability. If I could talk to my system and tell BC, hey, I have an issue with this customer. Please, what are the latest? What are the outstanding invoices? And please give me the tickets from my ticket tool as well. Are there any issues in the CRM communication? Yeah, and you could talk and you get a valid answer. That would be so great. It would help me
Yeah, I'm
tremendously.
well, Roger, let's already book like a second call, because I think we can go much deeper into that one. I love that thought. And again, I'm not part of the engineering organization, but I would not be surprised that we are working on some way or another that we're working on that. Now, in the Power Platform, we are working on that with Power Apps, where you can say like, hey, I want to have a screen to enter a customer support number and this and that and that and that, and it's developed. It's developed between brackets, of course. You need to have a look at it. So I'm sure we're going into that direction, and it will solve many pain points, like finding the right developers. Maybe it's going to be more consultants going to be developing, or business users. Hey, I want to have a new screen in Business Central, and it should have this, and this, and this. And it should be saved, as an example.
There once, just a funny side note, there once was a Star Trek episode. I saw it, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And it was Mr. Spock coming to Earth in the 80s. And then he saw a machine with a squared box. And then someone said, "What is this?" "That's a computer." "Ah, what is this?" "That's a mouse." Then he took the mouse and said, "Hey, computer, can you please do this?" So it was so funny because it showed how strange the user interface is compared to language. It was that was 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when that scene was taken, and it's exactly what I mean. Yeah, you move a mouse, you click, and it's not natural. So, and that is where I see the future of AI and Copilot.
Yeah, very, very
That's my dream.
Yeah, no, but I hear you, definitely. Roger, we're almost at the end. Time flies, as you know. My last question, which I always ask to every audience or every guest, is if there would be one thing you could ask Microsoft to change that would benefit, let's say, overall, well, your business, of course, but the overall ISV community, the Business Central ISV community. What would be that one ask?
Oh.
Just one. Well, maybe two.
First of all, two. Okay. First of all, keep up the speed. Keep up the speed. The magnitude and speed of change which we've seen over the past years is great, and we have to continue that. So the Business Central team is doing a really great job. Thank you for that. That's number one. Number two,
Thank you.
Is more on the commercial side. And that is outside of the scope of the Business Central development team. When it comes to things like multiplexing in a connected cloud world, no one's going to understand that. Transactability in app source, as I mentioned. There's a lot to learn, and I've been to Redmond, I think it was 6 or 7 years ago, when they promised they're going to change that. It didn't happen. So it would make life a lot easier if you could just go to app source, buy this app, price was done, all sorted, you enter your credit card, and off you go.
Check, and off you go. On your invoice, the invoice of Singhammer, I mean, not like your personal Visa card or MasterCard.
Right.
Maybe on your account that's attached to Singhammer's account that's attached to AppSource. Just thinking about.
And it works, and there's experience. I mean, I would say Microsoft look at Atlassian. They do it in the enterprise sector with very, very large organizations with 10,000s of users, and it works.
So I like that feedback. Now, there's one thing I want to go a bit deeper. You mentioned multiplexing in a cloud world. I think I understand multiplexing, but can you explain just also for the listeners what you exactly mean?
Now, in the Microsoft licensing documentation, there is a section around multiplexing, which means whenever you access Business Central directly or indirectly, or whenever you enter or use data from Business Central, you have to have a license. Full stop. Even if the user never goes into Business Central. Now, I think in a connected cloud world where you have systems talking to each other via APIs, having the concept of users is not very helpful, and it blocks deals. So there was a discussion around so-called transactional queues or order lines queues coming from the F&O world in the Business Central world. That's not there. And from an engineering and product point of view, we see more and more connected things. We see more and more APIs. And at the end of the day, you have to tell your customers that you need to buy a full user for that.
Yeah.
Because you are entering data into your system. So like that difficult to explain. No one can really understand.
I know exactly what you mean. But I think it's a difficult answer because what kind of user would you then define, like a free user or an API user, or how would you measure?
An API is based on transactions, based on API usage, for example. Yeah.
A bit. So, and then it's almost a separate call, Roger, but with Power Pages, there it's more based on, so you can buy access, but based on number of accesses on a time period.
Yeah, it goes in that direction, right?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Roger, first of all, it was a great call. I learned about Star Trek, how we should look at Star Trek to maybe look at the future of Business Central. I also put that in the notes when I announced this call, but I would like to thank you very much for joining this call, for sharing around Singhammer, what you're doing, how you look at innovation. Thank you very much. It was very insightful for me. I learned a lot, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for the good questions.
Well, and hopefully to a next session, Roger.
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.